I can't handle criticism. Well, maybe you're in the wrong industry. Turns out, being a Hollywood celebrity isn't just about glamour. It often comes with a history that's far less shiny. Think your favorite star is all about equality and fairness? You might want to think twice because some of them have pasts that will leave you questioning everything. 20. Walt Disney, the reality behind the magic. What was life truly like working for the mastermind behind Mickey Mouse? Walt Disney, the visionary who gave us beloved childhood classics, built a global entertainment empire. But behind the cheerful facade, the stories from those who worked for him paint a divided picture. Some colleagues defend his character, but others, like animator Bill Melendez, describe a man whose actions reflected clear biases. Allegations of racism surfaced, particularly regarding his interactions with Nazi filmmaker Leni Riefenstahl and discriminatory hiring practices. A 1938 company letter rejecting women for creative roles highlighted gender inequities of the era. Even Disney's cherished films weren't without controversy. Dumbo's Crows and Song of the South contain offensive stereotypes that have since been criticized. It wasn't until 1957 that the studio hired Floyd Norman, its first African-American animator, marking a slow and overdue shift toward inclusivity. 19. John Wayne, the dark side of a Hollywood legend. What happens when the ultimate cowboy's legacy is scrutinized under the harsh light of history? John Wayne, towering at 6 feet 5 inches, became an emblem of American masculinity and bravery, especially with his Oscar-winning role as Rooster Cogburn in True Grit. But beneath the rugged hero image, Wayne held views that shocked even his most ardent admirers. In a 1971 Playboy interview, the Duke openly supported white supremacy and made disparaging remarks about Native Americans, aligning himself against the civil rights movement's ideals. One infamous incident involved Marlon Brando sending Native American activist Sachin Littlefeather to decline his Oscar as a protest against Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans. Wayne reportedly had to be restrained by security to prevent a confrontation, revealing his volatile nature regarding such issues. While Wayne's career seemed unaffected during his lifetime, his legacy is increasingly debated. Calls to remove his name from public landmarks, such as Orange County Airport, underscore the complicated and often uncomfortable reevaluation of his place in history. 18. James Stewart, the hidden complexity of America's favorite hero. James "Jimmy" Stewart, celebrated for his Oscar-winning performances and status as a decorated World War II veteran, was long considered the epitome of the American everyman. His portrayal of kind-hearted characters made him a beloved household name. Yet behind his genial on-screen persona lay troubling contradictions in his private life. Stewart's actions on set occasionally revealed a darker side. During the production of his 1971 TV sitcom, his interactions with black actors raised serious concerns. Hal Williams, cast as a police officer, was reportedly replaced at Stewart's insistence. And there are claims he used racial slurs during the filming of The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Even Stewart's friendship with fellow actor Henry Fonda was not immune to tension. Their political disagreements escalated to the point of a physical altercation, leading the two to make a pact never to discuss politics again. 17. Henry Ford, the dual legacy of an industrial titan. Henry Ford, revered for revolutionizing American manufacturing with the assembly line and the $5 workday, cast a long shadow over his otherwise impressive accomplishments. Ford's immense influence extended beyond business, often in ways that remain deeply unsettling. Through his publication, The Dearborn Independent, Ford disseminated anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, earning admiration from Adolf Hitler himself. While offering workers unprecedented wages, Ford imposed rigid oversight of their private lives, deploying inspectors to ensure compliance with his strict moral code. Ford's Americanization programs forced immigrant workers to abandon their cultural traditions, and his factories maintained racial segregation. His vehemently anti-union stance led to infamous confrontations, including the violent Battle of the Overpass in 1937, where union organizers were brutally beaten by Ford's enforcers. 16. Bing Crosby, the troubling legacy behind the Golden Voice. Known for his timeless Christmas classics and suave screen presence, Bing Crosby became an enduring icon of American entertainment. Yet beneath the charm and melodic voice was a complex figure shaped by the era's cultural contradictions. Born in 1903, Crosby rose to stardom during a time when racial stereotypes were commonplace in mainstream media. While he cultivated genuine friendships with black artists like Louis Armstrong and supported their careers, his involvement in racially insensitive practices cannot be ignored. Crosby appeared in at least 4 blackface performances, including in the 1954 film White Christmas, where the song Mandy carried minstrel show origins. Despite respecting artists like Armstrong, Crosby's casual use of racial slurs reflected the ingrained prejudices of his time. Like contemporaries Frank Sinatra and Judy Garland, Crosby's participation in harmful stereotypes reveals the pervasive biases embedded in mid-century American entertainment. 15. Paula Deen, the fall of America's beloved Southern chef. Before 2013, Paula Deen was a household name, a TV chef adored for her warm Southern charm, buttery recipes, and infectious smile. Her cooking shows and restaurants seemed to be a recipe for success, but her empire crumbled overnight. The controversy began when Lisa T. Jackson, a manager at one of Deen's restaurants, filed a harassment lawsuit. Under oath during the case, Deen admitted to using racial slurs in the past and allowing racially insensitive jokes in her establishments. However, what truly shocked the public was her description of a Southern plantation-style wedding she envisioned for her brother. Inspired by a restaurant where black employees were required to wear white jackets and bow ties reminiscent of the Old South, the idea revealed troubling undertones about her views on race. The backlash was immediate and widespread. While Deen attempted damage control by posting numerous apology videos, promising that the color of your skin, your religion, or your sexual preferences does not matter, her words rang hollow to many. Critics felt her remorse was driven more by being exposed than by a genuine understanding of her actions' impact. Deen's once glowing reputation as a symbol of Southern hospitality was permanently tarnished. 14. Dawn Imus, a career destroyed by a single comment. Many stars have used radio as a stepping stone to fame, but few have seen their careers implode as quickly as Don Imus. Before his downfall, Imus was a giant in the industry, with Imus in the Morning thriving for over 30 years. Known for his boundary-pushing humor, he had earned a reputation as a good-natured racist, whose controversial jokes seemed to slide by unchecked, until they didn't. In 2007, Imus crossed a line that couldn't be ignored. During a broadcast, he referred to the Rutgers women's basketball team as nappy-headed hoes. This comment sparked outrage across the nation, igniting backlash that even his decades-long career couldn't withstand. Initially, NBC News and CBS Radio attempted damage control with a 2-week suspension, likely hoping the controversy would blow over. However, civil rights leaders Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson spearheaded campaigns demanding Imus's dismissal. The pressure mounted and both networks ultimately terminated his contract. The fall from grace was swift. One moment he was a radio legend, and the next he was unemployed. Yet Imus found a way to stage a comeback. Less than a year later, he returned to the airwaves with a new show on WABC, assembling a fresh team and continuing his career until his passing in 2019 at the age of 79. Imus's story underscores the fragility of fame in the face of public outrage, but it also highlights the strange resilience of the entertainment industry, where even those who stumble can often find a way to start anew. 13. Anthony Cumia. How a Times Square snapshot ended a career. What happens when a single photo spirals into a career-ending controversy? Just ask Anthony Cumia, one half of the wildly popular radio duo Opie and Anthony. For nearly 20 years, the pair entertained audiences with their provocative humor, thriving on Sirius XM since 2004. Known for pushing boundaries, they had always managed to toe the line until 2014, when a fateful incident in Times Square changed everything. Cumia, an avid photographer, was snapping pictures as part of his hobby when a woman allegedly ended up in one of his shots. According to him, she grew upset about being photographed and physically confronted him. What came next, however, was entirely his choice, and it was a disastrous one. Instead of handling the situation calmly, Cumia unleashed a series of racially charged tweets, calling the woman a savage, and making inflammatory remarks about black people and violence. While he may have thought the tweets would fade into obscurity, a Gawker journalist saved them all, ensuring they would resurface. Although Opie and Anthony had weathered numerous controversies over the years, this time was different. The blatant racism in Cumia's tweets was undeniable, and SiriusXM swiftly cut ties, citing his behavior as inconsistent with the values of the company. In an instant, a partnership spanning a decade dissolved. The episode stands as a stark reminder of how a single moment of unchecked anger on social media can erase years of professional success. 12 Roseanne Barr, the tweet that erased a comeback. This is a tale of how one tweet can obliterate even the most successful comeback. In 2018, Roseanne Barr was riding high on a wave of renewed popularity. Her hit sitcom, Roseanne, had returned to television after more than 2 decades off the air, becoming a ratings juggernaut for ABC. Critics and fans alike praised the show's revival, and plans for another season were already in motion. But late one night, Roseanne made a catastrophic mistake. Taking to Twitter, she posted a deeply offensive comment comparing Valerie Jarrett, a former advisor to President Obama and a woman of color, to a character from Planet of the Apes. The backlash was swift and ferocious. People were stunned by the overt racism of her remark. ABC wasted no time. Despite the show's massive success, the network immediately canceled it, citing their zero-tolerance policy for such behavior. The decision not only ended Roseanne's career resurgence, but also left hundreds of cast and crew members unemployed. In a frantic attempt to salvage her reputation, Roseanne issued multiple apologies, blaming her actions on the sleep aid Ambien. Yet her efforts to make amends were undermined by her subsequent behavior. She lashed out at co-stars Sarah Gilbert and Michael Fishman after they condemned her tweet, further damaging her credibility. Roseanne's story illustrates how a single act of poor judgment can dismantle years of work and success, especially in an era where social media amplifies mistakes for all to see. 11. Don Cherry, a poppy controversy that ended an iconic career. How could a single comment about wearing poppies for veterans abruptly end the decades-long career of Canada's most famous hockey commentator? For over 40 years, Don Cherry, known for his flamboyant suits and outspoken opinions, was the larger-than-life grandfather of hockey analysis. Audiences loved his boldness, even when he veered into controversial territory. But in 2019, during his segment Coach's Corner, Cherry made a comment that crossed the line. Discussing Remembrance Day, akin to Veterans Day in the US, and the tradition of wearing red poppies to honor veterans, Cherry noted fewer poppies being worn in Toronto, a city with many immigrants. Instead of encouraging everyone to participate, he used the phrase, "you people," saying, "You love our way of life, love our milk and honey, at least you could pay a couple of bucks for a poppy." The comment, perceived as targeting new immigrants, sparked immediate backlash. It wasn't the first time Cherry's statements had caused controversy. He had previously mocked European hockey players, criticized Colin Kaepernick's protests, and complained about immigrants taking jobs. However, this time proved different. Sportsnet, his employer, ended their relationship with Cherry, stating, "Sports should unite us, not divide us." Cherry's story illustrates how even a career built on outspokenness can unravel when a line is crossed in a way that alienates audiences. 10. Megyn Kelly, a Halloween discussion that cost a career. Megyn Kelly was once a major force in television, commanding a $69 million contract from NBC to join their team. Yet her track record of racially insensitive remarks should have served as a warning. Remember when she insisted Santa Claus could only be white? That was just the beginning. In 2018, during the Halloween season, Kelly sparked outrage while discussing costumes on her show, Megyn Kelly Today. Hosting an all-white panel, she questioned whether it was really offensive for someone to wear blackface as part of a costume, saying, "What is racist? When I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing up as a character." The reaction was swift and overwhelming. Many were shocked that a national TV personality could fail to grasp the deep and painful history of blackface in America, which has long been used to demean and dehumanize Black people. Kelly's attempts at damage control were twofold. First, she sent an email to NBC staff explaining that she had never been a PC person. Then the next day, she issued a public apology on air, receiving a standing ovation from her studio audience. But NBC executives weren't swayed. They replaced her show with reruns before canceling it outright. Kelly's fall from grace serves as a stark reminder that ignorance about sensitive topics, especially on such a public stage, can have career-ending consequences, even for those at the top. 9. Walter Brennan, the darker side of a Hollywood legend. A 3-time Academy Award winner, Walter Brennan was celebrated for his versatility and charm, captivating audiences in countless westerns and family comedies. From his humble beginnings in vaudeville to his success on radio and in films, Brennan projected an image of the ideal grandfatherly figure. Yet beneath the surface of his wholesome public persona lay deeply troubling beliefs. Brennan held extreme political and racist ideologies, fiercely opposing the civil rights movement, which he dismissed as a communist plot. His paranoia led him to construct a bunker in his home, preparing for a supposed Soviet invasion. As a staunch member of the John Birch Society, Brennan used his iconic Grandpa Amos character to disseminate controversial and prejudiced views. His dismissive reactions to civil rights leaders' deaths revealed his lack of empathy and deep-seated prejudices. 8. Taylor Selfridge, tweets that ended a reality star's career. How could tweets from nearly a decade earlier destroy a rising star's career in 2020? Taylor Selfridge's story is a stark reminder that past social media posts can resurface to haunt you years later. Selfridge had been thriving on MTV's Teen Mom OG, and the network had even planned a special segment highlighting her journey into motherhood. But old tweets from 2012 and 2013 came back to light. Tweets laced with racism, including one where she claimed she avoided greeting Black customers at work because they scared her. Here's the twist. MTV was already aware of these tweets. They had even aired an episode where another cast member, Cheyenne Floyd, confronted Selfridge about them. However, in 2020, with the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement, the network took a firmer stance. Just before her special was set to air, MTV canceled it and severed all ties with Selfridge, citing their condemnation of systemic racism. In response, Selfridge tried to spin the narrative, claiming on Instagram that stepping away from reality TV was her own decision. She also criticized MTV for alleged double standards, arguing that the network tolerated similar behavior from others. Despite her excuses, her career took a significant hit, underscoring the lasting impact of thoughtless actions online. 7. Abby Lee Miller, when past actions outshine current messages. What caused the cancellation of a highly anticipated virtual show before it even premiered? For Abby Lee Miller, the tough-talking dance instructor from Dance Moms, a single Instagram post brought her past behavior under scrutiny. Miller had achieved immense popularity over 8 seasons of Dance Moms, so much so that Lifetime planned a new show for her in 2020 called Abby's Virtual Dance-Off. During the Black Lives Matter protests, Miller joined the wave of celebrities posting black squares on Instagram to show solidarity. However, this seemingly simple act triggered a flood of accusations from her former students and their families. Adriana Smith, whose daughter Cameron had been on the show, came forward with a shocking story. She recounted a moment when Miller had said to her, "I know you grew up in the hood with only a box of 8 crayons, but I grew up in the country club with a box of 64. Don't be stupid." The comment revealed deep-seated biases and condescension toward those from different racial and socioeconomic backgrounds. Lifetime responded swiftly, not only canceling Miller's upcoming show, but also cutting ties with her entirely. While Miller later issued an apology on Instagram, for many her efforts were seen as too little, too late. This incident serves as a powerful reminder that symbolic gestures are meaningless when they don't align with a person's history and actions. 6. Lea Michele, when a tweet of support opens old wounds. This is a tale of how an attempt to show solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement unearthed past behaviors that Lea Michele likely hoped would remain hidden. In May 2020, Michele, famous for her role as Rachel Berry on Glee, tweeted her heartbreak over George Floyd's death and her support for Black Lives Matter. However, this gesture triggered a backlash she wasn't prepared for. Samantha Ware, Michele's former Glee co-star, saw the tweet and felt compelled to speak out. Ware shared that working with Michele had been a nightmare. She recounted how Michele had made her first TV role miserable, even threatening to in her wig. These were not just cruel remarks. They were examples of racist microaggressions that left Ware questioning her future in Hollywood. Michele issued an apology, but it only added fuel to the fire. Her statement claimed she didn't remember making those comments, which many interpreted as dismissive and insincere. The backlash was swift. HelloFresh, a meal delivery company that partnered with Michele for endorsements, cut ties immediately, emphasizing their zero-tolerance policy for racism and discrimination. This incident serves as a stark reminder that public gestures of support can backfire if they aren't matched by genuine accountability for past actions. 5. Hartley Sawyer. A hero's career derailed by old tweets. Sometimes the past resurfaces when you least expect it. Hartley Sawyer, who played the quirky superhero Ralph Dibny on The Flash for 3 seasons, was living the dream. Fans adored him, and his career seemed to be on an upward trajectory, until his old Twitter post came to light. The tweets, written years before Sawyer joined the show, were filled with offensive remarks. In one, he joked about making racist comments, stating that the only thing stopping him was fear of backlash from Al Sharpton. Other tweets were equally disturbing, containing sexist and demeaning language. When the posts surfaced, Sawyer tried to make amends by apologizing on Instagram. He claimed he had grown and changed since writing those tweets, stating that equality and representation were now core values to him. However, his words weren't enough to undo the damage. The CW, the network behind The Flash, responded decisively. They announced that Sawyer would not return for the show's 7th season, citing their strict policy against discriminatory behavior. Their statement emphasized a commitment to inclusivity, making it clear that derogatory comments targeting any race, gender, or orientation had no place in their organization. Sawyer's story underscores how words, no matter how old, can have lasting consequences, especially in an industry striving for greater accountability. 4. John Mayer. When an interview dismantles a reputation, how can a single interview tarnish a celebrity's carefully built public image? In March, John Mayer, renowned for his exceptional guitar skills and his occasional controversies, found himself at the center of a firestorm following an interview with Playboy magazine. The trouble began when Mayer was asked about his dating preferences and the topic of African-American women came up. Instead of offering a straightforward answer, Mayer delivered a string of racially insensitive remarks. His comments compared his personal preferences to notions of white supremacy, and he even made disparaging statements about well-known black actresses. Perhaps most shocking was Mayer's apparent belief that his remarks could be excused under the guise of humor. He claimed that black people loved him, as if that somehow validated his offensive rhetoric. Critics, including race relations expert Richard T. Ford, noted that while comedians like Sarah Silverman successfully use humor to challenge stereotypes, Mayer's comments came off as tone-deaf and deeply offensive. The most self-aware moment in the interview? Mayer's admission that the world would be better off if I stopped doing interviews. Given the fallout, it's hard to disagree with him on that point. 3. Paris Hilton, the dark truth behind the glitz and glamour. Paris Hilton, known as a media icon and the originator of phrases like, "That's hot," recently revealed harrowing truths about her past in her memoir, Paris, the Memoir. While many know her as a socialite and reality star, Hilton's story includes a painful chapter few were aware of. As a teenager, Paris was sent to Provo Canyon School, a psychiatric youth facility. Behind its doors, she endured grooming and abuse that left lasting emotional scars. In her memoir, she candidly confronts her past actions, including her use of racial and homophobic slurs, linking some of this behavior to the trauma she suffered at Provo and her struggles with alcohol. What makes Paris's reflections particularly compelling is her refusal to use these factors as excuses. She acknowledges that her actions, influenced by her pain and intoxication, were ultimately her own responsibility. Her raw honesty sheds light on how deeply rooted trauma can influence behavior, while still owning up to past mistakes. 2. Justin Bieber, the chainsaw joke that haunted a superstar. What compels a young celebrity to make a racist joke, and how does it come back to haunt them years later? For Justin Bieber, his journey from teen idol to controversial artist is riddled with such questions. In 2014, a video emerged showing a young Bieber telling a racist joke involving the N-word and chainsaws. Though the footage dated back to 2011, when Bieber was a teenager, its content shocked millions of fans. In the clip, Bieber is seen laughing and delivering the punchline, while others in the room attempt to stop him, clearly aware of the offensive nature of his words. The timing of the video's release couldn't have been worse. Bieber was already dealing with multiple legal issues, including a DUI in Florida and assault charges in Toronto. While some of Bieber's team reportedly suggested ways to downplay the incident, such as substituting the word motorcycle in the joke, the damage was done. The controversy highlighted how even youthful mistakes can have lasting repercussions, especially in a hyper-connected world where nothing stays hidden for long. 1. Donald Trump. A presidency mired in racial controversy, Donald Trump's tenure as president remains one of the most divisive in modern American history, and his track record on race relations is a significant part of that legacy. From the moment he announced his candidacy in 2015, descending the golden escalator at Trump Tower, his rhetoric sparked controversy. His comments about Mexican immigrants set the tone for a presidency frequently accused of stoking racial divisions. The list of incidents is long. There was the executive order banning travelers from several Muslim-majority countries, widely referred to as the Muslim ban. His infamous, very fine people on both sides remark after the Charlottesville rally further inflamed tensions. And during a presidential debate, his stand back and stand by comment about the Proud Boys became a lightning rod for criticism, interpreted by many as a tacit endorsement of far-right groups. Despite repeatedly claiming to be the least racist person, Trump's presidency was marked by statements and policies that critics argue exacerbated racial tensions in America. From his derogatory remarks about certain countries to his harsh rhetoric about Black Lives Matter protesters, Trump's actions left an indelible mark on the political landscape.